Hello everybody and welcome to today's episode of today's episode. One of the things I'd like for you to do in today's episode is take a close look at my eyes. And when I close my eyes, maybe you can see the stitches. And I'm pretty sure you can see the bruises. Now I decided to, there used to be a thing where they would tell 3 different stories and you get to, say which one you think is true. So I've decided to play a game like that today. And these are 3 different stories about how I got these bruises on my eyes. So the first story involves the North Korean Army and my neighbor, Dixie, who is, a lot of people don't know this, but she's actually a former sniper, worked for the CIA, has done several undercover things in other countries that can't be talked about here. And obviously the North Korean Army knows that if they're going to overtake this country, they have to first of all take Dixie out. So I became aware recently of an attack. The whole North Korean Army was going down their driveway over there, and she was standing them off. I could hear the gunshots and the screams of the North Koreans as she felled them. And he sent me messages saying, I don't need to ride out of here. I need more ammo. And me being who I am, I'm not admitting to anything, but since I do hold the largest collection of military-grade ammunition in North America, decided to volunteer to cut through the woods and carry more ammunition to her house. So I had done that. I had made several trips through there, and of course the North Koreans were being thinned out by the gunfire as I was going along. And at a certain point, they began to realize that somehow she was getting ammo, and they sent troops out to find me, and they did find me over there. So we had a gun battle until we both ran out of ammunition, and then they attached bayonets and charged me, and I didn't have a bayonet, but I had my Leatherman. So I pulled out my Leatherman and I whoosh, kind of like that Star Wars movie, except without the lights, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And I killed them all off, except for one. And he had lost his bayonet and he didn't have any ammo. So he attacked me with his fist. It was hand-to-hand combat, and we were giving it a left and a right hook and a left hook, and I was throwing him down, picking him up, doing the flop like you do in the, it was a real battle. And anyway, I won. These are the marks, the scars that he left on me, but he looks a lot worse than I do. So that's story number 1. Story number 2 is that I donated my excess eyelid material to be used to be tanned and turned into cowboy hats for elves, because there was a problem with elves riding the range in those little funny looking pointed hat, and the wind would blow them off their head. And of course, when you blow the hat off the head of an elf, he gets sunburned on his head, and if he gets sunburnt, he can't come to work and make cookies for the Keebler company in the trees. So by donating my eyelids, not all of them, but just the parts that I didn't need, I have managed single-handedly, or maybe not really single-handedly, because maybe a lot of people did this, but I have managed to save cookies. I saved cookies in America. It was an okay thing to do, because cookies is important. Okay, now there may be a story 3 and a story 4, because I was just thinking that, what was the other story that I was thinking might have been, oh no, wait, let me think. Oh, I know, I remember. There was a story, I believe this was supposed to be a story about a general in the Old West who the Indians had. He was a guy that the Indians didn't like much, because he was pretty good at, doing bad things to the Indians. So they at one point captured him, killed his horse, put his horse in a big hole, surrounded it with firewood, and cooked his horse. And for him, they had cut his eyelids off. They may have either buried him up to his neck so that the ants could get him, or they may have strapped him out in the sunlight. I don't remember, but according to the story, he survived, but he had to wear cloths over his eyes because he couldn't blink because he didn't have eyelids. That was a pretty good story, but it's not mine. So I just thought I'd bring that up, because when it comes to eyelid stuff, I don't know, it seemed to fit in. Okay, another story. I went to get glasses because I couldn't see. And they did all the things they do with your eyes. And then they put the glasses on, and I was kind of squinting. And this lady said, let me do this. And she reached over and she touched my face, and she lifted my eyelids and suddenly I could see. Now it's funny, you don't think about your own eyelids. I was in college, 20 years ago maybe, or more, and there was a student there, and he reached over and he said, "Can I touch your face?" And he lifted up my eyelid. He said, "These are called shrouded eyelids." And I said, "Oh?" And he said, "Yeah, I just wanted to look at it and see how that works." And you know, that was the first time I'd ever heard anything that was maybe unusual about my eyelids. But I have noticed in pictures sometimes that when you look at my eyes, it's like a straight line across and you can't see my eyeball. And for a while there, Ray opened my eyes really wide. My wife said, "Stop doing that. That's just weird." So the reality is, as they explained to me in the doctor's office, that my eyelids were in the way of my vision. They were blocking my vision. And it occurred to me that when I'm trying to read, because I actually went to the doctor because, you know, I do a lot of work on the computer to make these videos, and I read things on the computer, and I'm just having a hard time seeing. I was literally having to go to bed at night early and rest my eyes because they would just ache. And I realized when I can't see something, I would squint. Well, when I squint, I'm actually closing my eyes even more, which makes it worse. She said there's a surgery. It's actually, well, it turned out to be a couple of surgeries that I could have to remove extra flesh, extra eyelid that wasn't needed. And she said, you know, insurance will cover it and all that stuff. So I said, okay. Well, I let them do it. The first surgery was one where they just pulled the skin out on both sides, and that was difficult. Had a difficult recovery time. And so I'd made a lot of videos ahead before that because I knew that after that I might not be in. So they told me 2 weeks of recovery and not to do anything and stuff like that. And those videos are about to run out maybe tomorrow or the next day, but I have other videos in the camera. And what I do a lot of times is I'll make a bunch of videos, and then at some point when it's raining or I've been told not to do anything strenuous, then I'll sit down and take the videos that have been recorded and are in the computer, and I'll turn them into videos for you to see. And what I do when I do that is a lot of times I take a lot of clips, a lot of pieces, because the camera, my camera here, it'll only record for a certain number of minutes, and then it'll start another video. And I don't, it's not that I cut the camera off and start it again, it just automatically does that. So one 10-minute video might be two 5-minute videos stuck together, and sometimes I lose a word in the middle, but that has nothing to do with this. But sometimes if you hear me talking and all of a sudden and then I'm saying something else, that's what happened. Anyway, so now that I am on rest and recovery again, not supposed to lift anything heavy and all that stuff. Hang on, I'm getting hot. I will be. Oh, and it's also supposed to rain, but it hasn't. Anyway, and you say, hey, you're going underwater in the pool, you just had surgery yesterday. Well, I'm thinking it's clean water, it's chlorinated. Other than I hadn't dipped all the bugs out of it yet because I got behind on that. Other than that, it should be fine. That said, now I'm in a place where it's time to make videos, and so I will. But the most important thing to me today, or at least right now at the moment, was to get in the pool and cool off because I can. And this is one of the new things that's happened here is the long-awaited pool was installed. Oh, by the way, did you figure out which one of those 4 stories was the true story? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you put it in the comments. You decide. Was it the North Korean Army and Dixie the Sniper? Was it the elf hats? I thought the elf hat looked pretty good. The elf cowboy hats. I thought about making it fairies, you know, like Tinkerbell, but in today's world, if you start talking about fairies, a lot of times people, you know, they forget about Walt Disney, Tinkerbell and all that, and they stick other meanings on there. And I thought, well, that could be really get confusing, especially if I'm talking about cowboy attire and things like that. So I decided to go with the cookie elves. Oh wait, I shouldn't have said that. That kind of gave it away, didn't it? Oh no, I was just saying which one was it. So was it Dixie, the elves, or the doctor? And when you decide the right answer, just write it down on a comment and post it in there, and I'll read it later on. And if the person with the most correct answers gets the most correct likes back from me, as I like your answers as we go along. Okay? I should tell you, by the way, that the eye surgery is good, because one of the things I've noticed, and I never was aware that I was doing it, and I had some friends that had this kind of surgery, and they said the same thing, that, you know, you walk around sort of holding up your big heavy eyelids all the time. That takes a lot of energy, and it's kind of a strain. And when you don't have to do that, when your eyes are just open so that you can see without having to exert your muscular powers, that's a lot easier. I'm gonna get out and go get a rag and turn the pump on the pool, and then I'll be back. Love y'all. See you soon. Oh, by the way, I saw Cutworm in a video the other day. Hey Cutworm, I sent you a personal message this morning. Check me out. Love you, man. See you, bye. Oh, there was one more pool related story that I forgot. I was talking to one lonely farmer yesterday, I think, and he said, when I saw your picture, I thought you went so fast in the Studebaker you blew the eyeballs out of your head. And I thought, oh, that's a pretty good story. I might use that one sometimes. I'd forgotten that, but add that to the list there, and we'll run through the numbers later and see who believes which story. I believe that one myself. That's my favorite story so far.